Before this story ends, you'll understand how one small decision can rewrite 2 lives forever, and if stories that restore your faith in humanity mean something to you, tap like, subscribe, and stay with us until the very last word, because this ending is worth it. The night Daniel Cross noticed her, he wasn't supposed to be there. As CFO of one of the fastest growing tech firms in the city, his life ran on schedules, private drivers, and quiet penthouse views. But loneliness has a way of bending routines. After another empty dinner overlooking a skyline that glittered without warmth, he took his coat and walked, letting the cold bite his face just to feel something. That's when he saw her inside the convenience store, standing frozen at the counter, clutching a can of baby formula like it was made of glass. She looked small, not just in size but in presence, as though the world had trained her to apologize for existing. Her jacket was thin, her hair pulled back in a tired knot, and her eyes, those eyes held a mix of panic and shame that Daniel recognized far too well. The cashier spoke quietly but firmly, sliding the can back toward her. The card had declined. Again. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I'll put it back." Daniel watched as she turned toward the shelf, each step heavier than the last. She paused, pressed her forehead briefly to the metal rack, then returned the formula to its place with trembling hands. That was when he noticed the baby in the stroller beside her, asleep, unaware that his dinner had just vanished. Something inside Daniel snapped, not loudly, but deeply. He'd closed million-dollar deals without blinking, laid off entire departments with carefully rehearsed empathy, yet this moment hollowed him out. He remembered his own childhood, his mother stretching meals, pretending she wasn't hungry. He remembered the nights when love existed, but money didn't. "Excuse me," Daniel said, his voice surprising even himself. The woman turned, startled. "I think you dropped this." He picked up the formula can and placed it on the counter, then slid his card across before she could protest. Her eyes filled instantly. "You don't have to." "I know," he said softly. "But I want to." She nodded, unable to speak, tears spilling freely now. Outside, she thanked him over and over, apologizing as if kindness were a burden. Daniel learned her name was Maria, and her son's name was Leo. She was a single mom, working nights at a nursing home, still waiting on child support that never came. Formula prices had gone up again, and her paycheck hadn't. They parted ways, but Daniel couldn't shake the encounter. That night, the city felt quieter, his apartment colder. He stared at the ceiling, thinking about how easily he could have walked past. How often he had. The next day, he found himself returning to that same store at the same time. Maria wasn't there, neither was she the day after. A week later, he saw her again, this time outside the nursing home, rocking Leo in the early morning chill. She looked exhausted. They talked. Then they talked again the next week. Slowly, cautiously, a fragile bridge formed. Daniel learned how Maria had grown up in foster care, how she dreamed of becoming a nurse, how she read parenting blogs on borrowed Wi-Fi. Maria learned that Daniel's success came at the cost of a failed marriage, a life measured in earnings calls instead of birthdays. One evening, Maria confessed she'd received an eviction notice. Daniel felt the familiar instinct to fix everything with money, but he hesitated. Instead, he listened. He helped her budget, connected her with a housing advocate his company sponsored. He offered childcare during interviews. He showed up. Challenges came fast. Maria's car broke down. Leo got sick. Daniel's board questioned his distractions. Old habits tempted him to retreat into work, into isolation. But every time he considered pulling away, he remembered the formula on that shelf, and how close Leo had come to going hungry. Months passed. Maria found a better job. Daniel restructured a company program to support single parents, inspired by her resilience. The day Maria signed the lease for her new apartment, she cried in a way that was no longer broken but relieved. She hugged Daniel, not as a savior, but as a friend. On Leo's first birthday, they sat on the floor of Maria's small but warm living room. There was cake on Daniel's tie and laughter echoing off the walls. For the first time in years, Daniel felt full. He realized then that loneliness isn't cured by wealth, but by connection. That dignity can be restored by noticing. That sometimes, changing everything starts with refusing to look away. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that compassion still matters, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Stories like these only travel as far as you help them go. And remember, someone near you might be standing at a shelf right now, hoping the world sees them.